Cities where millions of people once lived. They had streets, temples, aqueducts, kings, and then suddenly nothing. No great battle, no clear answer, just silence and a city completely swallowed by sand, sea, or jungle. Today we'll talk about 7 cities that disappeared without a trace. Subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Let's go! And we'll start with the city that vanished the fastest. It's called Helike, a wealthy Greek city on the coast of the Peloponnese, dedicated to the sea god Poseidon. In the winter of 373 BC, the sea took it back. Ancient authors described it quite simply. In a single night, a powerful earthquake struck, then a huge wave came from the bay, and by morning, Helike no longer existed. It ended up underwater. For centuries, people considered it just a legend, the Greek Atlantis. But then came an unexpected twist. In 2001, archaeologists found it, buried beneath an ancient lagoon, exactly where the ancient texts had said it would be. The myth turned out to be reality. An entire city was wiped out in a single night and for 2,000 years existed only as a legend. And now, let's move from water to sand. Deep in the desert of southern Oman, legends spoke of the city of Ubar, a wealthy trading city built on the trade of frankincense, the most valuable substance of the ancient world. And then it disappeared. The locals called it the Atlantis of the sands. How can an entire city get lost in the middle of the desert? Here's how. Ubar was built directly above a massive underground limestone cave, and for centuries, water beneath the city gradually eroded and weakened the rock. And one day, the ground gave way. The earth collapsed and the city fell into the void beneath it. The irony is that the very thing that made Ubar wealthy, its water source, ultimately swallowed it whole. But the next city is mysterious not because it disappeared, but because of how advanced it was and how completely it was abandoned. Mohenjo-Daro is a city built more than 4,500 years ago on the territory of present-day Pakistan. And here's what still astonishes historians. Its streets were laid out in a perfect grid with right angles. Covered drainage channels ran beneath the roads, houses had private bathrooms, there were public baths, and the sewage system was so advanced that many cities only got something similar 4,000 years later. At that time, it was one of the largest cities on earth. And then, do you know what happened? Its inhabitants simply left. There are no traces of war, no signs of invasion, just an empty, perfectly planned city. We still cannot decipher their writing. We don't even know what they called themselves. Here is a question that most people still can't answer. What city was the largest in North America before Columbus arrived? And no, it wasn't a European colony, but a city of Native Americans called Cahokia, located near present-day St. Louis. At its peak, around the year 1100, it may have had up to 20,000 inhabitants, more than London at that time. The city had enormous earthen pyramids. The base of one of them was larger than the base of the Great Pyramid of Giza. There were spacious plazas, residential districts, and a giant wooden solar calendar. And then, about 200 years later, the city became completely deserted. Droughts, floods, depletion of resources. Historians still argue about the reasons. But the truth is simple and uncomfortable. A great American city rose, flourished, and disappeared. And most people today have never even heard its name. And the next city is hidden deep in the jungles of Guatemala. El Mirador is one of the oldest and largest Maya cities ever built. At its center stands the La Danta Pyramid, a structure that, by volume, is one of the largest in the entire ancient world. By its mass, it nearly surpasses everything that was built in Egypt. More than 2,000 years ago, this city flourished, and that was centuries before the famous Maya cities we know today appeared. And then it was abandoned. The jungle swallowed it up so completely that for most of modern history, people didn't even know it existed. Deforestation, droughts, the destruction of their own agricultural system. The same scenario repeats itself again and again. Civilizations usually don't perish from a single major blow. They die when the systems that fed and sustained them quietly stop working. But in the cliffs of Colorado, an entire people built cities right into the rock. The ancestors of today's Pueblo people, a group sometimes called the Anasazi, created multi-story stone settlements hidden in the canyon walls. Hundreds of rooms. Some of them could only be reached by ladders or along narrow stone ledges. Their homes looked like fortresses, raised high up in the sky. They lived here for centuries, and then, at the end of the 13th century, almost all of it was left behind. Clay pottery still stood on the floor, and the rooms were sealed as if their inhabitants were planning to return soon. The main theory among historians is a prolonged megadrought. But the question remains, why build these incredible cities in the cliffs only to abandon them so suddenly? The answer left together with the people who lived here. And finally, the strangest city of them all. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, near a tiny island, stands a city built right on the sea. Nan Madol. Nearly 100 artificial islets connected by canals. All of it is constructed from massive basalt columns, some of which weigh up to 50 tons. They are stacked on top of each other as if they were wooden logs. And this is where the real mystery begins. There is no quarry on the island itself. No one knows for sure how these giant stones were transported across the water, how they were lifted, or who exactly did it. For centuries, Nan Madol was the center of a powerful dynasty, and then it was abandoned and left to the mercy of the tides. A city that literally floats on the ocean, built by human hands, people we cannot fully identify, using methods we still cannot definitively explain. 7 cities, 7 enigmatic silences. And here is what unites them all. In reality, none of them perished in a single dramatic moment. Not exactly. The sea, sand, drought, or empty granaries were only the final push. Each of these cities existed thanks to a certain system: water, food, trade. And when that system quietly failed, the city didn't explode or collapse instantly. It simply shut down. Person by person, house by house, until only stones remained. These cities did not disappear because history forgot them. They disappeared because they forgot how fragile they had always been. And this should sound familiar because every city standing today operates on the same kind of system. I put a lot of effort into bringing these lost worlds back to life. With the help of artificial intelligence, every street and every building you saw was recreated based on real archaeological data and historical sources. So tell me, which of these 7 cities would you like to see fully recreated in a separate video? Or write in the comments what the next video should be about. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like and see you next time.